And I'm getting mighty tired of your trifling ways and of listening to that jackass Bray.
So this is my cesarean scar. This is of course tattoos, but you can see cesarean is C-section. This is my scar right there. You see? And pull this up. Yeah, see I'm not there. And this is, I can't reach it, my hernia repair scar. And these are the surgeries, the only surgeries I have had was giving birth and a repair that needed to be done really badly because it was bulging out and I couldn't pick up anything over 10 pounds. And we'll get more into that. But yeah. Here is the outside nostril. It's not what we're here for. My hernia repair. Hey y'all. He got problems, she got problems. Only I got 411 problems. Hey, hi, what's up y'all? It's time for another story time. Oh, I really don't think this is a story time. I guess. But as you can see for the title, I called this After the C-section because after you give birth, parenting is hard. And they don't really say what happens after. Like, nobody really talks about like the effects after. Everybody loves like the little baby and oh, it's so sweet and so cuddly, but nobody talks about the after when you are a parent to a baby who was born with birth defects. My son was born May 15th year. I don't even want to say the year, but he was born May 15th and he was born with an imperforated anus. Meaning where we have a hole, he had full skin, right? So as I told in my previous story, how I didn't know I was pregnant. I was on depot, and when I found out, I had to make the decision. In all actuality, I tried to unalive me and the baby because I did not want children. I found out I was 5 months. I was 99 pounds, and I had had an ultrasound. I'm trying to get comfortable, y'all, because I'm sitting down talking. I had an ultrasound, and when I had the ultrasound, because I was bleeding, and this was after I had the test, after I took the pregnancy test, I was still in denial, but I was bleeding, and I was like, okay, I need to go to the hospital. And sad to say, I was hoping that I was losing the baby because I knew mentally I wasn't prepared to be a parent because of the trauma. I haven't healed. Well, you never heal from your trauma, but that's my neighbor. So if y'all hear noises or anything in the back, it's neighbors, my neighborhood. Yeah. Anyway, so I never truly healed from the trauma. So I was like, I did not want to ruin another human because I myself wasn't healed from every period, right? All right, so I had my son. Oh, sorry. So when I went to the hospital for the bleeding, of course they did an ultrasound because they looked at me up and down, like, because literally I was straight up and down. I literally was 99 pounds and I was 5 months at the time. At the time I didn't know I was 5 months, but I was literally straight up and down, and it was looking at me like, And I was like, I just found out I was pregnant and I'm bleeding. So, of course, reluctantly, they took me in the back. And they was like, well, we're going to do an ultrasound because, we just want to make sure, we have to make sure, like, the baby is okay. Like, we can actually, like, see the baby. So when they did the ultrasound, the nurse was like, the doctor was like, they're going to the monitor, to my stomach, to the monitor, to my stomach. Why they were doing that? Because you can see Ty. At the time, he didn't have a name, but you can see Ty. Like, literally, Ty is moving, Ty is doing everything. It was like, hey, bitches. And they looking at my stomach, and my stomach is flat. So they was like, we're guessing you're like 5 months. What? Yeah. So they told me to find an OB, and I had to set up that appointment. In between the OB appointment, that's when I tried to unalive me and the baby. Didn't work. The only side effect that happened was I went deaf in both ears. Yeah. Seriously, I went deaf in both ears. Everything was muffled. I could barely hear anything, and I was like, oh my God. Well, let me tell you what was real crazy. And this is for people who are real spiritual. If you're not, that's cool. But what was real crazy, when I finally had the OB appointment and the unaliving didn't work, when I went into the room to hear the heartbeat, like for them to check the heartbeat, I can hear the heartbeat clear as day. Everything else was, it sounded like that. And I was like that for a good 3 weeks. Until I finally said, okay, God, I'm going to have a baby. And my ears popped. Sorry. Look at that stuff on TV. Okay, so let's speed it up. Let's fast forward. Because I know y'all trying to get to they're like, girl, get to the point. The news is on, so I'm looking at the Trump thing. Oh hell. Oh hell. Alright. Anyway. Child, where was I at? Ultrasound, 7 having a baby. Okay, yada yada yada. Once I said I was gonna have a baby, I accepted, talked to her and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a baby. My stomach was like, air doing it. I wish I had pictures, because I took pictures of everything, y'all, but my pictures got destroyed. I don't have nothing from high school, nothing. Ty's baby book, all my pictures. I had 4 or 5 albums that was full of pictures, and I don't have any, unfortunately. The only picture I have is the Polaroid that my mom took. No, the Polaroid that the nurse took after my son had surgery, emergency surgery. We're gonna get there, and I'm gonna insert that so you can see that, but all the other pictures I don't have. I don't have them. I wish I did. That's another story. Okay, come on, Angel, focus. All right, so let's speed up to the delivery. Delivery day, actually, I went into labor at home. I was about to say throughout the pregnancy, but really I just kind of experienced 4 months, because the first 5 months I didn't even know the kid was there. So yeah, the 4 months I experienced, I wasn't sick. I wasn't sick, nothing. As I stated in my other story, I wasn't sick. I worked to the 11, so me sleeping during the day and then going home, it was nothing. And then going to work, it was nothing. So I wasn't sick, no nothing. So my friends was like, because at the time I was babysitting, that was my little side hustle, my side money. And he had a stomach virus. And so I got his stomach virus. My friends was like, girl, that was your morning sickness, that was your sign. And I was like, for 24 hours? And then after I got it from the baby. Like, and at the time, I was already 5 months. So, yeah, anyway. Alright. So, going to labor at home, and the only place that's comfortable. Now, mind you, I'm greedy, so I'm still trying to eat, but I'm writing down everything. My contractions started, and they were 5 minutes apart when they started. Literally. The only place that was comfortable, and I was sick. I was throwing up every 5 minutes. The only place that was comfortable to sit down was on the toilet. Nothing was coming out, but it was just comfortable. So I called my mom and I was like, I think something's wrong, or maybe I don't know. And I was like, but the only place that I'm comfortable is sitting on the toilet, and I'm throwing up every 5 minutes. And so she was like, and at this time, like, my mom lived 3.5, 4 hours away from me. So she was like, I can come, like, you gonna wait on me? And I was like, yeah. Didn't tell nobody what I was gonna do, because at the time this was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, yeah, it's late, but it's probably gonna take a while. So she was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure, like, I'll be fine. So it was either sitting on the toilet or like on all fours, like a dog, for real, like on my neck. That was comfortable. Don't ask me why, it was comfortable. So she was like, okay, well, I'm on my way. So she came. I waited the 3.5, 4 hours. She got there. So it was like 8, 9ish in the morning when she finally got there. I guess after she had made all arrangements or whatever and called her job, I guess. I don't know. But it was like 8 or 9. I remember it being like 8 or 9 in the morning when we go to the emergency room. Get to the emergency room, and the nurse does an examination, and she was like, oh, you're only, what did that heifer say? I think she said 2 centimeters. Yeah, I think she's like 2 centimeters. And she was like, so we're gonna have to send you back home. So they had called my midwife. I had a midwife, I didn't have a doctor. They called my midwife. My midwife gets there, and she examined me, and she was like, she's not going anywhere. She's 4 to 5 centimeters. Baby, I cut that heifer a look. Like, bitch, you was about to send me home, and then you don't even know what the fuck you doing. Literally. Don't touch me no more. Anyway, going to labor, and I'm basically just having contractions. Water didn't break for hours. They came in and manually broke my water. And still, even after that, I'm still in labor for hours. Mind you, I get to the hospital early that morning, and I'm still there. This is like 1 o'clock, midday, when they broke my water manually. Finally get to 10 centimeters. Now it's time to push, and I'm telling them something's wrong. Nobody is believing me. Everybody thinks that I'm just being lazy and I don't want to push, and I'm saying, no, something's wrong. I can look at my son and he's going back up this way. Oh, I thought somebody was at my door. I can't breathe. They have to put oxygen on me, and I'm constantly saying, something is wrong. Something is wrong. They're not listening to me. So I'm telling them, I was like, Mom, please tell them. She was like, girl, you better, you know, black mamas, girl, you better call on Jesus, because they not listening to you. They not listening to me either. Okay. I'm calling on Jesus, and of course the nurses are upset. They were all white. All of them are upset because I'm calling on Jesus. They think I'm lazy. They think I'm over exaggerating. They don't think nothing's wrong. Mind you, by this time I started pushing, I would say around 2 o'clock, and I'm still pushing and pushing and pushing. So apparently they had a shift change and they were waiting for a doctor to come check. Okay, sorry, I forgot to add that once I saw my son go up the opposite way, I started losing oxygen basically. So they had to put oxygen on me so I could breathe. The first doctor that they reached out to didn't come. He was like, I'm going home. The fuck? The new doctor who comes on finally comes in the room. He finally checks me and says, let's move. Oh no, she's in trouble, baby's in trouble, her pelvic bone has not spread at all, we gotta do emergency C-section. So again, I cut the same nurse a look, because bitch, I told you something was wrong. Like, okay. Anyway, so they are prepping, shaving, taking out metals. I did not have a nose ring. Taking out earrings. Took off necklace. I think that was it. Oh, toe ring. Yeah, I used to wear. How you fight a woman at the courthouse? Toe and toe ring. I used to wear toe rings all the time too. Anklet too, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Take all the stuff off. Give me some medication. I have an allergic reaction to the medication. So now I am just shaking. Uncontrollably. I can't stop it. They don't even know why. I'm just shaking. My mom is saying, what's wrong? Why is she shaking? What's wrong? What's going on? Nobody's answering her. So she said, oh, okay, so I gotta get loud. What's wrong with her? What's going on? Oh, Lord. So they said, oh, we don't know, ma'am. Like, we think she's fine. She's just having a reaction to the medication. Mama said, how is she fine if she's having a reaction to the medication? They still doing whatever because we have to hurry up and get her prepped for surgery. Can you come with us, because we have to get you prepped as well, because of course she's going to be the one on the side of me. Y'all, I'm looking at the news too. I promise I'm gonna stay focused. Okay, so they do all the shaving and all this other stuff, like to get the excess hair off the stomach. Wheel me to the operating room. There's the anesthesiologist. Mind you, I'm still shaking uncontrollably. An anesthesiologist, basically, he's giving me epidural, which means you're putting a needle in my spine. So as I sit up and I'm doing it, I said, sir, I have one question. I can't stop shaking because I had a reaction to whatever they gave me. They don't even know why I'm shaking like this. How is this gonna affect your job? Because you putting a needle in my spine. And y'all like, why he giving you epidural? But C-section, they numb you waist down. That has to be numb. So I still needed epidural. He said, I promise you I'm good at my job, ma'am. I promise you're gonna be okay. So I'm trying to stay still, but shaking, of course, as I said, because it's uncontrollable. So he still did his job. He did. I didn't feel the pinch. He was back there. He did his job. I don't even know the man's name, but he did his shit. So he came and he was like, I'm gonna test it. They have like this cold spray and they spray you here all the way down your leg. So I felt it to about here, nothing else. Here, Nothing else said. I just here, he said, great. Came in, laid me down night, and when you on a, I don't know if it's still the same because it's been a while, but when you have a cesarean, they lay you down, they put your arms down, like you tied down, like you on a cross, like you're being crucified. My arms down, arms can't move. Couple of minutes later, my mom walks in. She's of course covered up in scrubs and basically not necessarily scrubs, but you know, like the surgery attire. Damn, Angel and Medical. The clean guy ain't got. I don't know. Anyway, C-section goes on. They do the C-section. They're like, you're gonna feel tugs, pulls, yada yada yada. Here comes the baby. Took him a while to cry. We were a little nervous because I was like, why he's not crying, Mom? Why is he not crying? He finally cries, and they was like, okay, well, the doctor is examining him, so this is what's going on. I had another pediatrician listed, but he was not there. So the pediatrician that was there examined him and showed me. That's when he was like, oh, I skipped a part. Okay, in my ninth month, it was when I found out I had a defect. Oh, we knew something was wrong. So my ninth month, I was one of the first people who had a 3D ultrasound. The man name was, he was in Macon? Augusta. He was in Augusta, and his name is Dr. Body. He did my ultrasound, one of the first 3D ultrasounds, to see what was going on, because when I had my ultrasound, like, okay, I'm jumping ahead. When I had to go every week because I was high risk. So when I went for my weekly ultrasound, you can tell when something's wrong because they keep doing, like, they keep moving and keep looking, but not saying anything to you. And so she kept doing that, and I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing. She walked out of the room. Then she brought another ultrasound tech in. They're moving and looking, not saying anything. And I said, what's wrong? She said, nothing. And they both left out and then come back in with the doctor. Then the doctor says, okay, Ms. Riggins, I need you to get dressed, and I'm going to meet you in the room. Something's wrong. We get in the room, and that's when they said, well, we can tell that there's an obstruction inside your baby. We don't know what it is. So at this time, we're going to send you to Augusta, and you are going to meet, you're going to see Dr. Body, and he has this extensive ultrasound machine where he can look into, they can see better than a regular ultrasound. And I was like, okay. And he was like, we don't know what's going on, so we don't want to say too much. We're going to send you to, Dr. Body. So I get to Dr. Body. He does the ultrasound, and he wants to do an emergency section right away. He calls my midwife. My midwife is at a conference. She's at a medical conference. So he finds out, I told him my due date, and so he was like, I recommend you do an ultrasound. I recommend you do a C-section right away. We go ahead and we find out what's going on with the baby, because right now everything is obstructed and the baby is literally depending on you, but it's also poisoning his system. He was like, he can tell, he was like, the baby is not having any bowel movements. It's not moving. This is just all his bowels packed in there, right? So he was like, so it's poisoning his system. So they wanted to, that's why it's windy. It's a storm. I'm sorry. So he was like, yeah. He was like, so I want to go ahead and do the C-section, but I have to get permission from your midwife. Midwife is at a conference, and nobody else wants to sign off on the C-section at my office. So he had to send me home. So get back home, and I need to follow up with my office, my midwife is still out of town, still at a conference. So the fill-in doctor, who was named, and I remember his name, but I'm not gonna put you out there. Went to him and he was like, well, you're so close to your due date. Actually, my due date was May 22nd. I had Ty on May 15th. So he was like, you're so close to your due date. I don't want to do a C-section because that's major surgery and I don't want to rush it. And I was like, well, according to him, like, the baby is being poisoned. Would it be better we just go ahead? He was like, no, it's okay, it's fine. Of course. Yeah. So now jump forward in labor. Ty is born. The doctor shows me where there's just skin, where we have an opening. Ty has just plain skin, and according to the doctor, he said, I'm sorry, Miss Riggins, unfortunately what your son has, is out of our scope of practice, meaning they are not able to attend to him medically. So he said, I'm sorry, unfortunately we'll have to fly him to Shands. They are able to handle this, they are able to do the surgery, and your son needs emergency surgery today. So Ty was flown in a helicopter to Shands within 2 hours after I had him. The very first time that I was able to hold Ty in my arms, Ty was 2.5 weeks old. My mom was traveling back and forth from the hospital with me and the hospital to Shands. She was driving back and forth because I, after my C-section, had a fever that wouldn't break. So I had an infection and couldn't be released anyway. So back then, like, if you had your baby natural, you were able to leave within 24 hours. C-section, 3 days. I was in the hospital for 4.5. My fever didn't break. It finally broke the 4th day, and the doctor was pushing, like, I was pushing it. And he was like, if your fever goes back up, you need to come back to the hospital. When I got home that night, my fever went up to 104. I was like, baby, we gonna pop this Tylenol PM. I'm not going back. I gotta try to see my son. So I wasn't able to walk, of course. I had surgery. I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to, I constantly had fevers at night, and I couldn't see Ty. I was finally able, I was like, Mom, I have to see him because I was depressed. And also had postpartum. I was blaming myself for Ty's birth defect because when I tried to unalive myself, it was the pills. It was the pills. So I was like, oh my God, I did this to him. Yeah. So I'm trying to speed up because I don't want this to be too long. So 2.5 weeks, I was like, Mom, I gotta see him because I was losing it. All I did was sleep. My mama was worried about me. She took off 2 weeks from work to help me. Like, she was like, I have to take care of my daughter. And then my wonderful son's father agreed to pay my utilities, all the utilities in the apartment, because at the time, of course, I wasn't working. And guess what? He didn't hold up his end of the deal because when my mom was calling to check in, or was going to try to check in, my phone was off. Yeah. So my mom had to pay all my utilities because with me being high risk, I could only work 4 hours a day. And then after that, because I kept having contractions, I was put on bed rest. This is stressing me out talking about it. Hold on. Okay, so I had to be flown to Shands and have emergency surgery. That is actually the thumbnail, and that's the picture of when he got out of surgery, and that's my mom in the picture. As I stated, I was at the hospital and she was like, Angel, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I need to stay with you or go with the baby. And I said, go with the baby. I'll be fine. I'll work it out. And so she was like, and I was like, I promise you I'll work it out. So literally she was driving back and forth to Shands and to my hospital, and if I'm not mistaken, that drive is like 2.5-3 hours, and she was doing that almost every day for a minute. So yeah, so Ty had to have a colostomy bag, and there are people who walk around with it now. That's a whole nother story of Ty's surgeries. I really don't want to go into detail with that, but yeah, that was one of his surgeries that he had before the age of 4. He had a total of 4 surgeries before he was 4 years old. So fast forward now, my son is 22 and I still have pain, itching, and sharpness of pain, like it'll be a sharp in my incision. I don't know if people still have that or not, but I still have side effects from my incision. How serious Ty's health was, this is all from Shands. You don't believe me? Make sure you don't see no information. I'm trying to show just Shands Healthcare. Tyler Reed. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the hernia repair. I would say 6 months, because I'm trying to hurry up and mash things together and move past stuff, because we already at 30 minutes and I don't want this to be long. So I would say 6 months. I started having, like, it would be ooh, I don't want to skip over stuff because it don't make sense, but let's just say, like, I also was like severe anemic. I'm still a severe anemic. I'm always cold. Like right now my hands are freezing, my feet are freezing. I was a severe anemic, found that out when I went for my 6-week checkup. Maybe, I'm not mistaken, my 6-week checkup, or maybe it was my second, because I had Ty was home. Yeah. So she checked my iron. She was like, your iron is really, really, really low. So, and there would be times when like I have to put Ty like in a swing because I couldn't hold him because I was too weak, and I'm a single parent, so it's just me. So I had to figure things out. I was dealing with that. Also, dealing with one of the staples in my cesarean section. The skin grew up around it, so they had to cut that out a little bit when I went for a follow-up. So she was like, monitor that I doctored on that healed, but I was telling her like I still had pain or whatever, and she told me it was normal. She's like, it's your muscles healing. A cesarean takes over a year to heal, so you should be fine after a year. 22 years later, it still itches, it still hurts, there's still sharp pain that shoots through it. So yeah, okay, so the hernia repair, like a year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 6 months. I started having this big bulge, and it was always painful. At this time, I'm not mistaken, I was working at a daycare center, and anytime that I would pick up like the toddlers, it would be so painful, it would hurt, and like this big bulge come out. And I was like, okay, finally I need to go get this shit. I'm sorry, y'all. Yo, like, I'm just looking at this semi truck that flipped and fell off the expressway in Texas. Oh my God. What the heck is going on with the dump truck running in the water? What is going on? Y'all, I'm gonna show that truck in here so y'all can see why I like, what the hell? Okay, hernia repair. So finally, when I had to go to the emergency room because it bulged out and I lost feeling in my hands. I know it don't make sense, but I promise you, I lost feelings in my hands. So went to the emergency room. The emergency room sent me to, I don't even know what you call him. I think he was a gastro. I don't know, I could be lying. Anyway, sent me to the doctor. Went to him, he did an examination. He was like, you need surgery. So, and he diagnosed me with an umbilical hernia, hernia repair, right? So, he diagnosed that, and he was like, my next available, I think this was before Christmas, right before Christmas or right before Thanksgiving. I'm always doing surgery right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas, because I'm looking at the date, right before Christmas. So the beginning of December, it was right after Thanksgiving, right before Christmas. Because I remember he was like, we could do it Christmas Day. I think he was joking. That wasn't coming now, Christmas Day. Anyway, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's get the surgery done. So I had my surgery on December 3rd of 2001, my hernia repair. And I had the exploratory laparotomy. I had the lysis of adhesions, and then the hernia repair. Yeah, I was 22, and they did the umbilical cord. I was reading my medical record. Oh, this don't have nothing else on it. So see, medical records. Can y'all see that? Because, you know, you got to have receipts because y'all think people be lying. So, had my hernia repair and couldn't hold my son for a while. My mom came back for that too. Couldn't hold my son, couldn't pick my son up before and after surgery. Went for my follow-up, and I kept telling my mom, I was like, every time that I laugh, like, it hurts really bad. And she was like, no, that's just your incision. Girl, get in there, get in the follow-up. And I was telling him, and I was like, it hurts really bad. It's like a tightening. It feels like a bubble when I laugh. And he mashed on it a couple of times, pulled out a needle, and I was like, what you doing with the needle? Stabbed the section, blood, needle full of blood. He was like, so glad you came in today. This time my mama didn't believe me. Sure. But anyway, I told her after, she was like, I'm sorry, I just thought, like, you know, it was the incision. But yeah, so those are my surgeries. I think it was kind of all over the place, but I really didn't want to talk about child surgeries. That's a whole nother video, and we are already at 40 minutes, so it's long enough. But I think that was the most, as far as like the hernia repair. That really wasn't bad. Besides that side effect, him pulling blood out for the post-op, for the follow-up appointment, the hernia repair really hasn't given me any problems. Like, I may have pain here and there, but it's not really bad. Now, one thing I can't do is wear like jeans or anything over it, like anything like a button. Like a button or anything like sitting over it. It bothers me. So that is the story of my surgeries. Will I tell Ty's surgeries? I don't know. That's kind of emotional, and I don't know if I can not cry, because that was hard, and doing that by myself was a lot. There were times when my mom would come to the appointments, and then there were times where she couldn't. So yeah. Thank you for listening. That's the end of it. We have 41 minutes. I gotta go because I don't like holding y'all too long, and y'all don't like listening too long. But any women out there who still have side effects from their C-sections and it's been a while time, drop them in the comments, girl. Let's have a conversation. Let's link up. Let's talk up. Let's have some discussions. We might even create a group so we can say, hey, this works when I have sharp pain, or this works when it itches. Help me out, because I don't know what to do. Yeah. I love you the most because you are the dopest in real life. Bye, y'all.